Hello, my name is Salty Doge. I am an established air ride player and free run speedrunner who mains the Rex Wheelie. I have decided to share my knowledge with people because a lot of people ask me, how do I go so fast on the Rex Wheelie? This guide is a general overview of the Rex Wheelie. Fair bit of warning, this video will be on the technical side, so it's going to be me yapping for a long time. I am an American, so everything in this video will be in miles per hour since that's what I know. In this video, we will be covering stats, maps Rex generally does good on, notable riders underneath the context of a random stage selection, and tech. This is a long one, so let's get into it immediately. The first category we will be going over is stats. There are 10 basic stats that affect the Rex Wheelie in multiple different ways. These stats are top speed, boost, charge, turn, grip, lift, flight speed, offense, max HP, and weight. We'll start out with top speed. Top speed, 29 miles per hour. This is the fourth fastest vehicle in the game, and whenever I make a statement like that, I'm excluding all legendary machines. This is tied with the Battle Chariot and Swerve Star. Boost. The boost stat is actually your acceleration. Why? Who knows? Who cares? This stat is atrocious. What this means is you absolutely want to avoid being hit, slowing down, or crashing, as once you lose top speed, you are going to take a long time to get back up to top speed. Charge. Your base charge time is 1.49 seconds. This is slow. In fact, it is the fourth slowest charge time in the game. Turn. Turn stat dictates how fast your vehicle can physically turn. From an idle spot, it takes Rex 2.84 seconds to complete a 360-degree turn. This is very slow. Grip. Grip dictates how well your vehicle comes to a stop. It can also dictate how sharp of a turn you can take. Lift and flight speed. Lift we don't use. Flight speed dictates how large of a jump you can take. Offense, how much damage you can deal. Max HP, how much HP you get. Weight. This is a loaded stat. Weight affects how much total top speed you get, how much boosting speed you retain, which by the way I define as any speed above top speed is boosting speed, how well you can take a hit, and how much ramming damage you can deal. So what does all this mean? What this means is Rex has very good top speeds, very poor acceleration and charge time, vehicle turns very slow, takes turns wide, and struggles to stop. But it gets good jump distance, good HP, absurd offense, and this thing is heavy. By it being so heavy, it's going to shrug off small time hits and maintain boost speeds good. The first thing we will be going over is tracks. Which tracks are generally good for the Rex Wheelie if you play a notable rider? Rex Wheelie's best maps are highly dependent on how good a rider's grip and what weight class your rider is. Rex can struggle on a lot of maps with very sharp corners, and generally you don't want those maps to show up, but there are exceptions where that's okay. The maps you generally do not want to show up are Sky Sands, Frozen Hill Slide, Celestial Valley, Galactic Nova, and Checkered Nights. Here is some maps where Rex universally does good on if you are playing a notable rider, which I'm going to mention later. Waveflow Waters. This is hands down Rex Wheelie's best map. It holds the fastest time in the world on free run on this map. This map is great for Rex because of its long, high-speed turns. Rex, with its bad turn radius but losing minimal speed on these turns, allow it to take these turns and boost out of them at incredible speeds. There are also some good speedrunner tricks to get around the sharp turns on this map as well. Floria Fields, Fantasy Meadows, and Nebula Belt. Not much to say on these maps. Good top speed, boost speeds, and can take hairpins turns with know-how. That's a hallmark of a good machine on these maps. There's nothing to say here. Very straightforward. Airtopia Ruins. Rex does very well on this map due to having fast boost speeds along with a good wall bounce. You can get strong breakaways at the rings and spiral, which Rex can take going over 40 miles an hour. Machine Passage. With knowledge on how to play this map on Rex, you can do good with any rider. However, this map you really should be running a lightweight for the sharp turns at the end, which can cost a lot of time and potentially even races. However, heavyweights also work here because of the long straightaways, but they will struggle at the end, and they very well can cost you a race. Now let's talk about notable riders and how they affect the Rex Wheelie. What is a notable rider? A notable rider are riders that are going to be good on a random stage format. Reason why is because this is the most common stage format and what the majority of people will be playing by playing quick play or ranked for online play. There are very good riders outside of these three, specifically Taranza, Susie, and Rick. We will not be covering them, as, while good, they are ultimately beaten out by my three riders that I chose for this video. If I make videos on individual stages in depth, then we will be covering Taranza, Susie, and Rick for sure, but that's not the topic. Let's get back on topic. There are three notable riders. These are Chef Kawasaki, Knuckle Joe, and Daroach. These riders bring out the areas where the Rex shine and do a pretty good job at compensating for its weaknesses. With that being said, Rex varies wildly between each rider, so there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Rex is a very delicate machine. It's very picky about who's riding it. Each rider has a very strong point and can destroy on some maps or completely flounder on others. It can also be okay to good on some maps, but excel on a few. Let's start off this list with Chef Kawasaki and his stats. Chef brings in two modifiers we want on Rex, top speed and weight. Chef makes Rex's top speed 32 miles an hour and his weight allows him to retain any boost speed for a good distance. Chef brings along an okay charge, turn, and grip stat, nothing really worth mentioning here. However, the real champion of Chef is his ladle and his special. Chef's ladle allows him to scoop up enemies at an absurd distance. This is extremely useful on Rex since Rex gives really good boost from enemies and hitting other players, so having that extra range to scoop up enemies and get that nice, sweet, juicy boost, it helps a lot, and it adds up. Chef's ladle can also chain together enemies on Rex very easily and maintain boosting speeds for a very long time when combined with his heavy weight. Chef's special is also worth mentioning for the same reasons. Hitting either an enemy or racer with the curry gives a good speed boost. This combined with his weight gives excellent speed retention and you can maintain speeds of over 40 miles per hour with this special quite easily. Chef's special also has a useful ability to attack behind you. This means you can get some nice speed boost while front running by attacking racers and enemies behind you. It also has the added bonus of really just messing up your racers behind you because it gets all over the place and it can be quite a menace in some areas. What's holding Chef back from really cooking on Rex is his maps. Chef's okay grip doesn't really let him take sharp turns, so he's going to have a tougher time on maps such as Airtopia, Machine Passage, and Sky Sands. These maps are completely doable and in some cases good, but they will require more finesse from the player to execute some turns. Here's the trade-off. Chef Rex has a hard time on some maps. He's really going to shine on maps with long high-speed turns and straightaways like Wave Flow, Cyberon Highway, and Crystalline Fissure. On these maps, he will do notably better than any rider on this list. Chef is one of the better picks for Rex. The ability to double down on maps and still maintain a good enough viability on other maps is a very strong ability. It's well worth it to practice on maps where Chef struggles on. Combined with Chef's ladle, Chef is a strong option on the Rex with a clear defined strengths and weaknesses that can be worked with to excel. Chef is an excellent rider for the Rex Wheelie, definitely worth playing, and he's also a lot of fun. Next rider on our list is Knuckle Joe. Joe is hands down the best lightweight option on the Rex. Joe's top speed is good at 30 miles an hour, his charge and grip are fantastic, and his offense is absurd. Where Joe really shines is he gets insane boosting speeds. This is from everything that gives a speed boost, especially on boost panels. A good example is where he can clock out 70 miles per hour top boosting speed on the left gold panel on Airtopia. Joe also does the opposite of what Chef does in terms of tracks. You want maps with sharp turns such as Airtopia, Sky Sands, and Machine Passage to pop up. He is notably better than anyone else on these maps because of his good top speed, sharp turning by Rex standards, and absurd boost speeds off charges. Joe also boasts great offense and auto attacks. Joe's auto attack is notable as he just sits there and wallops an enemy with a bunch of small hits that are amplified by Rex's crazy high offense and Joe's crazy high offense multiplier. I think you can see where I'm going with this. This leads to a very devastating auto attack. This auto attack can really screw over other racers while going through a corner, especially those on vehicles that don't really want to get hit like Slick, Transform, and even other Rexes. On top of all of that, Joe boasts an incredible special on the Rex. Knuckle Rex has one of the better specials in this game, as you lose no speeds on turns. Joe's special cranks up the already huge boost speeds even higher, and you get a very large attack going through turns. Best part about this special is if you get behind another racer who is using their special, you can follow behind them with yours, wall up the snot out of them, and it gives absurd speeds of like over 50 miles an hour. You can also expect to take turns at 45 to 60 miles an hour, somewhere in that ballpark, so very, very fast. The biggest downside of the special is that it tends to stink if you're front running and on straightaways, as there are no turns or other racers to give boosts, so you have to rely on enemies and turns to get the most out of the special. And enemies, they don't give as much boost as hitting other racers do, so you're not going to go super fast if you're in a front run. You definitely want to use this special when you're in the kind of middle or behind and you got to fight your way up to the top. That's how you really want to use Joe's special. So that's the most Knuckle Joe glazing I think Knuckle Joe has ever received. So what stinks about Knuckle Joe other than it's Knuckle Joe? Well, that's easy. It's no weight. So I consider Knuckle Joe to be the heaviest of the lightweights. So what that means is he gets a large boosting speeds, but he does a poor job of retaining them. And yes, while Knuckle Joe can take sharp turns, he really struggles on straightaways and high-speed turns, the long, winding turns that Rex really likes. On maps where Chef Kawasaki is notably good on, Joe is notably bad on, and these are his only really big downsides. Overall, I think Rex is hands down Joe's best vehicle option. Nothing even comes close. This combo is a lot of fun to play and very new player friendly. I strongly recommend playing this combo to anyone trying to learn Rex. Our final rider on this list is Daroach, or as I like to call it, Darex. If there is a rider that was built for Rex, it's Daroach. There is not a terrible track for this character. If you are playing in a random stage selection format, such as ranked, you want to play Daroach. Top speed is good at 30 miles an hour. His charge is great, grip is excellent, and he has great offense and weight. Daroach also gains some great boost speeds off anything, but unlike Joe, Daroach can actually maintain those boost speeds for longer because of his weight. Daroach can also take very sharp turns quickly, but he can also do long high-speed turns by boost chaining or by using enemies to boost through them. Daroach's special is also notably good. While you can't get these crazy high speeds Joe gets, you will be hitting 40 mile per hour speeds. Daroach can get some crazy good boost speeds, and hitting 50 miles per hour plus during his special is not uncommon. Daroach's special also allows for some niche routes to open up. This happens because his flight speed is significantly increased. Therefore, he gets a huge jump. Routes such as hitting the top path on Celestial Valley and doing the rock hop on magma flows can be done with Daroach's special activated. The special decreases Daroach's turn and it becomes notably worse, so you will need to know how to take sharp turns while using this ability. Fortunately, this means while in special you can take high-speed turns significantly faster. Upside about this is you can practice this easily by just playing Chef Rex. This is about on par with Chef's turn radius, so practice your Chef Rex and you'll be good with Darex's special. I think there are no true downsides to Darex. This is easily one of the best riders for the Rex, well worth using and learning. Have you ever been completely stomped by a Rex player in a race and said, "How the hell?" Well, I can answer that question. Good chances that Rex player is stomping on you by utilizing 5 basic techs that really do wonders for the Rex. These techs are wall boosting, perfect landing boost, perfect landing drifts, the leap, and snaking. We will be going over these techs and giving a brief tutorial on how to execute them. These are not all the techs Rex can do, but these are the ones I deem by far the most critical. You will need to know these techs if you want to even stand a chance at playing the Rex at a high level. Let's begin our list with the wall boost. Now here we are in Mount Amber Falls, and we're going into the hairpin turns where wall riding is critical. So here's what it's going to look like, and what the general basic gist is of this is we want to start charging into the turns, and then once we begin wall riding the wall, we would then want to boost out and through the rest of the turn. So how do we do this? So how this works is we want to boost into the turn, and then we want to still hold boost, and we still want to maintain holding the turn into the wall when we crash into the wall. Now, Rick begins turning left. He's holding left the whole time. He's getting ready to crash into the wall. And remember, shallow angles, always better. Crashes, begins riding the wall, and he still holds charge and boosts through. And notice how he's still tilted to the left. He's still tilted to the left, and then he's starting to begin the next turn and turns right. Let's take another look at this again because it's a lot to take in. So he's turning left, taking a left turn, turns with the turn, holds with the turn. Crashes into the wall, shallow angle, begins riding the wall, boosts out there, and notice how he's still turning. So he's still holding into the turn until he's preparing for the next turn where he shifts his weight and turns right. So that's how you do a wall ride tech. It's a very simple tech. It's very easy, but it's of critical importance to the Rex because you're going to need to use your environment around you, specifically interacting with the walls, to be able to take turns because Rex has no turn. So let's just recap how to do it real quick. So step 1 to the wall ride is to begin to drift into the turn. You just hold A, and this will begin charging up your vehicle. Step 2 is to drift into the wall at a shallow angle, continuing to hold A and holding in the direction of the turn. Step 3 is you will crash into the wall and continuing to hold A and the joystick in the direction of the turn. This will begin to ride the wall. When desired, you will let go of A to boost off the wall while still holding the joystick in the direction of the turn. This will boost you off the wall and complete the wall ride tech. And hopefully, if done correctly, get you through a turn real fast. Our next tech on this list is snaking. And snaking is a very useful technique that allows for charge boosting in a straight line without a massive loss in speed. This technique is useful on the Rex specifically for drifting into boost panels and increasing your boost speed time. This technique is also extremely good when combined with the copy ability Freeze. Just learning the motions of this technique is also extremely useful for coming in and out of turns and readjusting the vehicle without losing speed. So, how do we snake? Well, we're going to go look at Steam Gust Forge footage and we'll show you how to snake. So how do we snake? Well, the first step is to simply approach the boost panel. We're going to begin drifting and charging up the vehicle. You want to hit it with some charge on the boost panel. Now we shift our weight up by rolling up on the joystick to readjust the vehicle, and then once readjusted, we boost through. And that's it to the snake. It's a very simple technique. So let's take another look at it. We're going to start charging our drift here, hit the boost panel, and now let's pause. See how there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines on our boost gauge. Once you hit kind of the 3 3/4, 4 area, that's when you're really going to want to start shifting the weight of your vehicle up. So in this case, we're turning right. So what we want to do is from that right, we want to shift the joystick up. So now we can see the shift of the vehicle starts to go left and up, and now we are pretty much fully straight up on the joystick. And we are going to let go and boost out. Now, let's rewind that footage a little bit. Now, here we go. Let's look at it again. Begin charging into the boost panel, and we're going to turn into it pretty heavily. Now, let's stop it right there. Now, here we're at the apex of our turning speed. This is 48 miles an hour, and this is the premium example right here of the snake done right. This is a good snake. So, you hit the apex of the boost panel boost speed. So once you hit this apex, this is when you're going to want to begin shifting your weight up. And the reason why you want to begin shifting your weight up is because that engages the brake system, like the soft brakes. Tutorial explains it, go look it up. So now you readjust your vehicle, and then we boost again. And now notice how that dropped our speed from 48 down to 30. That's still top speed for the Rex, so we're technically not losing any speed by doing this. And once we boost out, we're then going to notice that the speed goes up to 44 miles an hour, as we can see here. So now we're boosting out at 44 miles an hour, and you can see that we're still retaining way over max speed a lot longer than versus without the boost panel. So now that we have covered snaking, let's go over a quick recap of snaking. Step one is to begin a drift. Optimally going into a boost panel. You don't have to do this into a boost panel. You can also do this going into like off a perfect landing or off of freeze, but the boost panel is the best and the safest method. Doing it off a perfect landing is going to really require like favorable geometry, specifically going downhill if you want it to actually be an effective snake. Otherwise, it won't really be effective and it's not really worth going for. Freeze is also well worth learning it on, but the motions are the exact same. Everything that I showed earlier also applies to boosting off of a perfect landing or freeze. Step 2 is once you get a good charge, about 3/4 boost meter, hit the boost panel. Once you hit the boost panel and begin to drop speed, roll up the joystick to realign. Remember, this engages the brakes and this helps you realign faster. If you realign by swiping right, you go a lot slower versus tilting up, so you want to roll the joystick up. Once you've rolled the joystick up and realigned your vehicle, you then complete the boost and boost out, and then you have completed a snake. So that sums up the snaking. As I said earlier, you can use this on a perfect landing, but I recommend using it when you have favorable geometry like going downhill. You can also use this while going off the freezes, but it's the same exact motions as before. I showed the boost panels because that's the hard one. The rest of it is pretty simple, but go out and practice it. And the next tech we're going to be talking about is the leap. So the leap is our next tech, and this is a tech that is pretty specific to the Rex because the Rex has some crazy boosts, but this also applies to its partial boosting as well. And the leap takes advantages of Rex's crazy boost and the fact that speed dictates how big a jump is. So this allows Rex to take an abnormally huge jump, which is called the leap. All vehicles can do this, especially wheeled vehicles, but none of them are as noticeable as Rex, which is why it's in this video. So how do you pull off the leap? Well, first we're going to show just a regular leap, a regular jump. There you go. Let's rewind it. So let's see where we're going to land. We're going to land with a regular jump just about 1 square over the green line. So the leap should extend this out by 2, possibly 3 squares. I'm not so sure, but it definitely extends the boost distance the jump distance quite a bit. And the reason why is because it adds in the extra boost, and since you're getting more speed because you're getting a boost, since you get more speed, therefore you get more jump height along with more distance on your jump because speed is directly correlated with those two distances. So how do we do the leap? Step 1 is to just gain a minimum of at least 1 bar. You're just over 1 bar boost. I recommend drifting into the ramp as there's no speed loss for drifting with Rex, and this gives the best result. And then step 2 is to let go of the charge right after taking off. So let's take a look of the leap. Here we go. Now let's get this on pause. Drift. Boost! And there you go. Oh man, we're hitting that Evel Knievel stunts with that one. Let's take a replay of that. There's your drift, gone, and then boost right off the ramp. And then look at that one. They're soaring past there. 1, 2. We added 3 squares of distance to our jump. So that's an absolutely huge increase and well worth talking about. So let's see where exactly the boost started. So there's the drift, 1 bar, just right over 1 bar, and that's the exact frame that the boost was let go, and this is evident by the fact that the charge meter started going down. So it's right after you take off the ramp. The timing on this is very tricky, but you know once you get it, you're going to be getting a humongous boost. So a lot of people will now be scratching their heads and saying, well, this is a neat party trick. Well, where's it useful? Oh, and that's where you're wrong, buddy. This is no party trick. This is a speedrunner strat, but it leads to some huge time saves, and we're going to talk about them. So this is another premium leap spot. It's right here on Steam Gus Forge. To hit the dash ring, leap, boink, bonk, all the way through. So let's break that down. Okay, so what's going on in this clip? Well, you charge into the elevator to boost up. Now continue charging through here, And you want to hold back once you boost out. Boost out and then hold back to get a big jump. Now you're going to shift your weight left, hit a PLD here. Charge 1 bar. You got 1.5 bars worth of charge out of that. You let go of it right after taking off. There's your leap. Hit the dash ring there. Hit the perfect landing, and then you low jump here. You kind of want to aim right in between the platform and the wall. Shift your weight right. Hit another PLD, and good lord, look at that speed. 49 miles an hour. That's absolutely wild. Quick post editor note, a new way has been discovered to do the leap, and it's much simpler. You don't need to worry about the charge boost or anything like that. All it involves is just pressing A when you're just about to go off the ramp. So here's a normal jump, and here's the jump with the leap. Press A, and yep, there you go. You almost cleared that second ramp in the test zone. Now that we've seen the leap in action and where to utilize it and some examples of how to utilize it, let's go over a quick recap about the leap. Step 1 is to begin to charge going into the ramp. Tip, it is recommended to drift into the ramp as there is no speed penalty for doing so with Rex. You are going to need at least 1 bar of charge boost. It's recommended to have 1 to 2 bars, somewhere in that range. And the final step of the leap is immediately after taking off, let go of the charge boost. And remember, it's immediately after you take off of the ramp. Not before, but after. If you do it before, you're not going to get a leap. Your jump's going to go further, but it's not going to be as big of a jump. The perfect landing boost, or PLB, is a technique that is at the core of any wheeled vehicle, and this takes advantage of how wheeled vehicles' jumps work, because they work different than star vehicles' jumps. And their perfect landings also can be manipulated a little bit differently because they work slightly differently than star vehicles work. And what you do to pull off a PLB is 3 things. You go off a jump, and once your vehicle begins falling, you press A, press and hold A, and then once you hit the ground and you get a perfect landing, you let go of A, and if done correctly, you should see a significant speed boost of like 5-6 miles an hour compared to the typical 2 to 3 that you're going to get from a normal perfect landing. Let's take an example. So here we got Knuckle Joe on the Rex Wheelie on Steam Gus Forge, and we're going to be going off this first ramp and doing no PLB here. So go off the ramp, land 35-36 miles an hour. Let's try it with a PLB now. Remember, we landed at 35 to 36 miles an hour. Go ahead and hit the jump. Boink. Boom! Holy smokes, yeah, look at that speed difference. So let's get a side-by-side comparison of the 2 speeds. So you can see on the left, that's our PLB speed, and on the right is our just regular perfect landing speed. We have 41 miles an hour on our PLB and 36 miles an hour on our just regular perfect landing. So that's a significant difference. So let's find out what voodoo witchcraft is going on here in Sakurai's very fun racing game, and let's see what's going on here and why this is the case. Now, I'm going to warn you, everything that I'm about to say is a guess. We don't know until we see the code, and as far as I know, nobody's seen the code except for the developers, so what the hell is going on here? So, you're going to go ahead and take the jump. Now, go ahead and take a look at our steed once it stabilizes. Once we begin falling, our speed begins falling too, and then when we press A, our speed falls even further. Let's take another look at that. Alright, here we go. We take the jump. Our speed becomes rapid because we're jumping. And then it begins to stabilize, and now it's stable. There's the apex of the jump. We begin falling. Speed goes down to 34. Let's pause. Now that your speed is falling because you're falling to the ground, and you're close to the ground, you can now press and hold A. What this is going to do is it's going to further increase your speed. But if you press A too early and you fall too far, then you won't get the PLB boost. You'll just get a regular perfect landing speed. But so there's definitely a timing that you need to know, but it's closer to the ground, the more likely it is, and I've never seen it go above 8 miles an hour. So what happens when we press and hold A is now you're going to watch our speed and it's going to go up. Boom. There you go. You can see it in that very, very small, like 3-frame moment. Let's watch it again. All right, press and hold A, 34, 36, 39, and now I land, and you get the 3-mile-an-hour boost. So it peaked at 42 miles an hour because a perfect landing always gives 3 miles per hour upon landing. So that's the PLB. That's a very important tech and is something that you should go practice like immediately. Let's go ahead and recap it real quick. So your first thing is you want to go off a jump. Lower jumps tend to work a lot better than big jumps. I find them to be far more consistent than very, very big jumps. So take a small jump if possible. If not, just send it. Who cares? Once your vehicle begins falling and you are near the ground, you want to press and hold A. You land on the ground, you let go of A, and you just follow the boost through. That's it. So this is probably the most important tech on the list. Our final tech on this list is the PLD, which is an extension of a PLB. So a PLD is a perfect landing drift, and this is a tech that combines a PLB with a drift. This tech allows you to gain an extra speed boost from the perfect landing and immediately begin to charge and drift. This makes for very fast drifts, and this is useful to know on the Rex since this tech is the easiest to execute on the Rex. The Rex also does not lose any speed upon drifting, as I've already shown earlier, so this is an extremely fast way to get through a turn. So how do we execute this? Step 1, go off the jump. Upon the vehicle beginning to rise from the jump, tilt the vehicle into a turn that you want to take by holding the joystick. Second step is once the vehicle begins to fall, execute a PLB while holding the joystick in the direction you want to turn. 3. Upon landing, continuing to hold A and the joystick in the direction you want to turn in. If done correctly, you will get a perfect landing and the vehicle will immediately begin drifting and charging. So, what does a PLD look like and what speeds can we expect from a PLD done right? Here's our PLD example. We're just going to go off this jump here. Watch us tilt the vehicle. There's the tilt and there's the drift. That's a PLD. That's 42 miles an hour. That's extremely fast. Let's see it again. Off the jump, begin the tilt, and now we're going to execute a PLB and pause. Now what we see here is that we are still holding A, and what we see is that we still got a perfect landing off this. So now what's going to happen, since we're holding A, is we're going to immediately begin charging because you can immediately act out of a perfect landing, and it's the main advantage of a perfect landing next to the speed boost. And there's our charge. As we now see, we have 42 miles an hour. That's absolutely crazy fast. And that's how, folks, you do a PLD. So let's go over a recap here. So let's go ahead and let's recap on what we learned about PLDs today, class. So step 1 is to go off the jump. And once you're at the apex of the jump, begin turning in the air into the turn. Once falling, execute a PLB while holding the joystick in the direction you want to turn. 3. When you land, continue to hold A and the direction you want to turn in on the joystick. If done correctly, you're going to get that sweet rush of dopamine as you see really big numbers as you go through that turn insanely fast. And that is our recap on PLDs. That sums up a beginner to advanced overview on what there is to know about the Rex Wheelie. This is a fun vehicle and implementing the stuff in this video to your Rex game will strongly elevate it. I hope you all learned something from this general overview video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comments. I'll try to get back to them. I'll be making this a multi-part series that will branch off from this video, and if I make another video on the Rex, it'll be on copy abilities. With that being said, I hope you all have a good day. Peace.